Good afternoon. On today's Business Applications Lunch and Learn, we're going to be diving into the cloud advantages of Dynamics 365. If you're new to the Microsoft Business Applications YouTube channel, we release new content every Monday. And today we're going to be diving into those cloud advantages. If you're watching this video from within LinkedIn or embedded in a blog, navigate over the video and drill into go to the YouTube player. From YouTube, within the description, you have the timestamps that will allow you to fast forward to the pieces of the demonstration that you're about to see. And you can fast forward and navigate right to the points that are most important to you. We release new videos every Monday, so feel free to subscribe and you'll receive a notification when we release new content. On today's Lunch and Learn, we've got Sandy Gerard. Sandy, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Nick?
It's great. It's we're really starting to enjoy spring, and it's kind of the hectic nature of Q4, but we've got a great presentation today. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, I understand that completely. I'm from Minnesota, where we get about, maybe 3 months of summer for the entire year. So we relish when it gets nice out up here.
So thank you for your time, Sandy. It's we're looking forward to really diving into the advantages of Dynamics 365 in the cloud. When I saw your presentation, I wanted to make sure that we brought it to our community. So thank you for making the time in your busy travel schedule and customer schedule to share this with our community. So we appreciate it.
Absolutely. So when I first started with CRM, way back in the day, I remember having business cards and names on slips of paper and so on. But we got a chance to be able to really digitize that. And this is back, I think in the mid 90s, something along those lines, when I really started to get into it and saw that digitization. Now that was great back in that day.
I remember those 3-ring binders of business cards.
Yeah.
Remember, you
exactly.
had like your Franklin
with
planner or whatnot,
and baseball cards. Remember that? I remember those too. But obviously, that doesn't serve anybody but the person with the book in their hand, right? So as soon as we started to digitize those, then we started to be able to really share that knowledge amongst our team, to be able to have more of a permanent record of that. And organizations were really benefiting from the search capabilities and the sharing capabilities that you get with that. Especially across thousands and thousands of contacts and whatnot. Well, I think the game materially changed again when we went from that digitization to more of a system of record, when we started adding opportunities and deal tracking within CRM systems. And that allowed business owners and sales managers to be able to really get a lot of insight into the future of what their business is going to look like, so they can make better business decisions.
You went from that binder of baseball cards and business cards, right? From having to send an email and saying, hey, does anybody have the phone number for a specific contact, to, the ability to search and really empower sellers and empower marketers to be able to search and to be able to aggregate really a view of a customer with additional data, right? So that paradigm shift is constantly morphing with the needs of the business. So it's really been an evolution over time.
I would agree. The only thing that I take issue with that is that I don't know if a lot of sales team members themselves saw the value there, right? I've talked with a lot of sales team members in the past where they're able to say, all this information that I'm entering in the CRM to track my deals, to be able to track my contacts, to understand where we are. This is great for sales management. It's great for the owners to be able to see this, but I have to enter a lot of data in here to be able to really get the value out of that. And that was kind of an issue with a lot of the sales team. It really drove down adoption because they wanted to be selling, not doing data entry. And I've seen a lot of organizations work around that in a lot of different ways, by adding admins, by adding different resources and so on, to be able to do that for the sales team so that they can be able to track this. And so what we're in right now, Nick, is we're in another revolution, where we're taking that system of record and really turning it into a system of intelligence, so that the sales team members themselves are going to see a lot of value. And we do this through smart integrations with our Office platform. We do this and utilizing artificial intelligence and machine learning to really bring value to the sellers themselves, make it easier for data to get in there, and make that data more meaningful when you're able to actually see that information firsthand.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot's been that evolution has really accelerated since the 90s, or the
Even mid
early
2000s, right?
2000s, right? And the pace of change and the pace of innovation, the experiences that Microsoft's customers can light up, that's what we're talking about. It's the advantages when you take advantage of Office 365 in the cloud with Dynamics 365 in the cloud, and layer in that artificial intelligence and that machine learning and that predictive insights of
Yes.
looking at that data layer to create next best actions and accelerate value, which drives adoption.
To simply see things you haven't been able to see before, or get reminded of things that you might have forgotten, and you have a machine there looking out for you, which is
Yep.
which is pretty. And we are in our infancy right here, to be honest. I think we're just starting to scratch the surface on what it is that we can be able to do, but already we're seeing a lot of value that we can be able to bring to sellers with just the little things that we've been able to do so far. So hey, why don't we dig into it a little bit and kind of go through some of these cloud advantages. I put together a presentation that I have been able to really leverage as within our organization in front of clients and so on, that we've been able to focus on these cloud advantages that Dynamics brings to the table. Now, this presentation and the focus of our discussion today is not going to be like on the total cost of ownership of the cloud, or the advantages. I think that there are a lot of great presentations and great material already out there that talk about the fact that you get more updates faster, that you don't have to be able to pay for the patching, you don't have to pay for servers and all the like. But customers these days are really asking, oh, that's great, but what am I getting in addition to the things that beyond just the platform itself? And we went through as a team and quantified all of the different capabilities. And I shouldn't even say all, I would say the most important capabilities that you're going to see here that Dynamics brings to bear for our sellers. So with that, I'm kind of excited to be able to dig in here. You want to get going here?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So as we went through the platform, we started off by looking at the way that this presentation is organized, at least, and the way that we're thinking about it right now is we're organizing it by workload. But as we were going through all the sales and the customer service and the finance and operations and so on, we realized that there were advantages at a platform level that you're only going to get if you go online. Starting over on the left-hand side with Office 365 integrations, some of the capabilities that you get around Teams and the Excel Online capabilities. Moving on to portals, which is something that you only get online as well with the community portals and the tight integration with Dynamics, so that you don't need to necessarily stand up these things on your own. Data visualization only gets better online than on premises, allowing you to be able to really commingle and bring the data, the Power BI visualizations that you create and embedding them within Dynamics itself. And then extensibility, and this is one of my areas that I want to spend a little time on later, and the advantages that really this gives you with PowerApps, Flow, and our common data service, our Power Platform capabilities. And I can't forget at the very end here is Customer Insights, which is a newer product that we're bringing to market right now around all the consumption of data that allows you to be able to get that 360-degree view of your customers that you haven't necessarily been able to see before.
Yeah, Zandy, that's great. We actually showcased Customer Insights last week, and we'll embed it in the show notes. But click here, and you should be able to go to that video. One thing that you had mentioned about the integration with Office 365 and that portal, or the portal's capability, right? How we work has drastically changed in the last 4 or 8 years, right? The ability to leverage teams and a global distributed team or workforce, but also the expectation of your customers to be able to get access to a portal and self-service, whether it's changing their phone number or changing their preferences or seeing what they've consumed from your organization, right? They want that self-service on a mobile device. Right? Nobody wants to have to interact with a human in order to do something. So whether it's late at night or on a phone, you can actually take care of some of the tasks that you want through that portal. And Microsoft has that integrated, but you can only take advantage of that if you're in the cloud.
Only can take advantage of it in cloud, and you'd be surprised at the number of organizations that still rely on phone calls to sales reps to be able to answer simple questions like, what's my invoice? Where's my customer service rep? Those type of things, which are so accessible and easily displayed on a portal these days. And we're going to get into this more in our portals in just a second, but I couldn't agree more. So let's dig in a little bit. Around Office 365, one of the things that I really want to highlight that you're going to get if you go online is the tight integration that we have with Teams. One of the big things that I've noticed in my career is to really make use of the purpose of applications. For instance, if I want to collaborate with people, I want to use Teams to be able to do that. I don't want to necessarily try to use a CRM tool to be able to collaborate, because I'm doing all my other collaboration in tools like such as Teams. Now, if you're not familiar with Teams right now, I'd strongly encourage you to be able to go out and learn about that. It offers a ton more advantages than just the video conferencing and IM capabilities, such as a tight integration with Dynamics, so that you can see, while you're collaborating with folks, you can see that opportunity, or you can see that contact in line with your collaboration, so that you can be able to make certain that everybody's on the same page with these opportunities, so you don't have to flip to another application to go and find it. If I'm working in Teams, I want to stay in Teams. If I'm IMing with somebody, I want to be able to have reference to the same information that they're seeing, so that there's no confusion. Teams really, and their integration with Dynamics in the cloud, really brings this to bear, so that you can have that collaboration environment within Teams.
Yeah, it's amazing that the Teams product has really been an evolution of how customers and how Microsoft internally is now working with some of that modern tool set, right? The ability to have discussions in context similar to like a Facebook feed, and to work in a collaborative nature. That's really what Microsoft Teams is about. And that evolution of modern workplace is really, Teams is at the center of that. And I think it's Microsoft's fastest growing product. And with, I want to say, over 500,000 organizations taking advantage of Microsoft Teams. Again, that collaboration and how we're changing and how we're working, that mobile experience is excellent. Not only are you and I recording this in Microsoft Teams, but all of the preparation leading up to this recording was done in Teams. And whether it's on a mobile device as well, it's a phenomenal experience.
And I couldn't agree more. And when you're collaborating, the last thing you want to be able to do is interrupt that collaboration by trying to flip over to another application to try to get that information in there. So the advantages of being able to use one system to collaborate, even though the system is necessarily not within Teams, is tremendous. There are other advantages as well, within the Office 365 integration. Enhanced search results. The online search engine that we have is phenomenal. We've made a lot of different enhancements to that allows you to be able to more robustly search for content within your CRM system, within Dynamics as well. And then if you're fans of using Excel, which I know that a lot of organizations are, you'll note that we can be able to analyze that data online with Excel Online directly within Dynamics, so that you don't need to open up yet another tool to be able to go and do that.
Yeah, it's amazing, Sandy. So the immersive Excel experience embedded within your business application and Dynamics 365 experience, the ability to have pivot tables and formatting and robust formulas right within the manipulation of data and ingest that back into your CRM system. There's no wonder why Microsoft's Excel and Power BI are the #1 analytics solution for businesses 11 years in a row. And the experience of leveraging that all immersed it's awesome. When we show that to customers and the business analysts that are leveraging Excel as the #1 BI tool in the world, their eyes light up because we're empowering all of that rich functionality right within the experience. It's again, it's a marriage made in heaven that you can only take advantage of if you're in Microsoft's cloud.
And this just enables, you were talking about mobile earlier, this just enables that more mobile story even more. So you can be able to access all of this online on your mobile device in a seamless manner. You get the same user interface on your mobile device that you do on your on-premises, or excuse me, on your online implementation. So it's fantastic. Now, we talked a little bit about portals earlier. I want to kind of dig in here a little more. With an online subscription, you also get access to portals and to be able to build portals. Now, there are many different scenarios we're talking that you can be able to leverage portals, whether those be community portals, whether they're partner portals, whether they're customer service portals, and whatnot. The advantage here is that the portals that we're providing as part of our Dynamics implementation are so tightly integrated with Dynamics that there's no need to be able to write APIs or to be able to go fetch data in any other manner. It's just available to you, and it's all part of the same platform. Some of the advantages and things that I've seen, I've used to work in the partner world themselves, and so I used to go to Microsoft's portal all the time to enter information in there so that Microsoft would have information about what it is that we're working on as a Microsoft partner, allowing us to be able to communicate seamlessly on these opportunities and get recognized for the value that we're bringing to Microsoft as a partner.
Zandy, what's important about the differentiated portal story for our customers is that customers' expectations to be able to share and have access to their own data has changed over the last 5-10 years, right? I now want to be able to have access to my bills, my updates, and to be able to expose certain data that is within your system of record of Dynamics 365, and then expose that to customers to be able to modify, consume, read. That's where you're starting to reduce the cost for that interaction and to be able to do that self-service, right? That front door to be able to have a line of demarcation of here's the corporate data, but then here's the data that we want to share with our customers. That's phenomenal. And the integration, and because it's built within Dynamics 365, you've got the identity management, the access control, the profiling, the HTML, and all of that is already built within CRM. So you don't need to expose an additional web server infrastructure. You can share that data seamlessly, and it can be managed by business analysts. And it's awesome. The engineering that's gone into that is really a differentiator that many of our customers are taking advantage of, including Microsoft internally. And that's where we wanted to showcase the portal capabilities of that integrated cloud story today. So excellent.
And on premises, you just simply can't do this. I mean, you'd have to build your own web pages. You need to integrate it yourself. I mean, it becomes a little arduous than the head start that we're really giving our customers if they go online.
Yeah, it's a great point. Thanks.
You mentioned data visualization, and Power BI is one of the best data visualization tools out there. I know a lot of organizations that already leverage Power BI as part of their repertoire of data visualization tools, and to bring it into Dynamics where it's really able to show those rich charts and graphs and interactions that you can be able to get with Power BI is one of the advantages that we bring when you go online as well. So you're not going to get all the tight integration that you see online on premises because you're not able to embed. So for instance, online, you're able to commingle your Power BI and your Dynamics charts side by side. You automatically refresh all those Power BI with all the data that already exists right there. So you're not having to go and do some kind of automatic refresh scheme or something along those lines. And you can natively surface these Power BI visualizations in Dynamics to provide that insight and information and the value that Power BI really brings to your sellers.
Yeah, it's key. I think even the fact that the engineering teams for Power BI and Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform of PowerApps, Microsoft Flow, and the Common Data Service are all in the same leadership structure at Microsoft and those engineering teams, right, we're starting to look at those experiences around telling that data story. That's important, right?
It is.
So as the amount of data triples year after year, the ability to harness what are the signals through the noise and to drill into the data, Power BI and its leadership for 11 years is really at the heart of that experience, and it's embedded richly within the cloud aspect of Dynamics 365 with Power BI. It is a phenomenal 1-2 punch. If you haven't experienced it, we'll dive deeper. But again, it's another advantage of being in the Dynamics 365 cloud with Microsoft's vast ecosystem.
Couldn't agree more. Speaking about the advantages here, one key advantage that I really want to bring to bear or bring up here is our extensibility. If you haven't heard about PowerApps or Flow or the Common Data Service, I know there's a ton of great material out there, but this is utilizing these tools really are only available on our online system and not available on premises. Now, to tell you a little story right here, I used to develop a lot of applications either using .NET. I used SharePoint back in the day, and obviously I've kind of done a lot of things with Dynamics as well and building applications on top of them. And I remember, especially when you're talking about SharePoint, the value that organizations saw with releasing SharePoint and allowing their teams to be able to build applications on top of SharePoint is it really enabled a whole new tier of quote unquote application developers. You didn't necessarily need to have a big background in development to be able to use these tools to be able to build applications. So to break it down a little bit, PowerApps is that tool that allows your I would call them power users, or we have actually called them, what do we call them now, Nick?
Be a citizen developer.
Citizen developers, thank you.
Business analyst. It's really anybody that wants to shape that experience with a comfortable interface without having to know any code. People like you or I that, aren't developers or coders can actually create those experiences elegantly through the Power Platform.
So if your organization out there is using InfoPath, which I've used plenty in the past, and you recognize that it's at end of life, what are you going to do? PowerApps is your answer right there. If you're using Access out there, or even a Lotus Notes database system that you're trying to be able to get rid of, PowerApps and Flow and the Common Data Service are the tools that you're going to be able to leverage to create those applications that connect to all of your different data back there within your line of business systems or your core systems, without the necessarily need to be able to leverage a big development effort to be able to do so. You're enabling these citizen developers, and that is the largest tier of growth that I've seen in terms of application developers over the last 5-7 years or so in the business.
Yeah, even just 2 weeks ago at Microsoft Build, Satya Nadella, Microsoft's CEO, showcased the Power Platform to that developer community. And you're going to start to see much more of the value around taking advantage of the connectors that Microsoft has into 200 additional web-based services. So whether it's Adobe or Zendesk or Dropbox or even Salesforce, you can build on top of that with the Power Platform by leveraging those connection points and to be able to build those elegant experiences. Microsoft realizes that you have investments outside of Microsoft, but that doesn't inhibit you from taking advantage of Microsoft's AI capabilities or taking advantage of the Power Platform to build those low-code, desirable experiences on top of the investments that you've made. It's really a phenomenal differentiator that you, again, can only take advantage of in Microsoft's cloud with Dynamics 365, and that extensibility story is phenomenal.
And whereas PowerApps is natively mobile as well, which is a key capability that you don't have to be able to develop different systems or monkey around with all the different JavaScript extensions out there to be able to get it to display in a mobile device. It's a native mobile application, and it projects the same experience that you build online that you do in the mobile. And I want to move on to Flow really quick, because one of the things around Flow that I've noticed is that all the enterprise applications out there have typically had their own workflow engines embedded within them. SharePoint has it. Dynamics has a workflow engine. You know, there are lots of different workflow, but they only work within the context of that particular application themselves. Whereas Flow is an enterprise workflow tool that allows you to be able to leverage those same connections that you over the 200 or so plus different connections that we have to access that information and respond to different triggers or events that occur, and to be able to do something across systems, which is unique now within our ecosystem.
Yeah, it's really powerful. So if you think of the Power Platform, you've got the ability to analyze, which is Power BI. You've got the ability to act, which is the PowerApps. And then you have the ability to automate, which is Microsoft Flow. So the analyze, act, and automate, that's really a phenomenal tool set that Microsoft is empowering all of Microsoft's customers that are in the cloud to be able to take advantage of, and to create these digital experiences to help automate and drive business outcomes. And again, that Power Platform is a huge differentiator, as well as the extensibility story that you can only take advantage of in Microsoft's cloud. And that's why Microsoft's cloud is the #1 cloud in the world.
Couldn't agree more. In fact, one of the things, I actually have a scenario where I was trying to build an enterprise application on top of SharePoint out there, where I wish I had these tools available to me back then. The situation is that they had access to SharePoint. They could be able to build solutions on SharePoint, but frankly, if they were trying to be able to build it in a SQL Server environment, which they had available to them, it took them 6 months to be able to provision that SQL Server, and then the cost is behind that. Internal costs were pretty tremendous to be able to get over there. And this is where the Common Data Service really plugs in. Whereas you can try to build applications on top of SharePoint, realistically, if your data has any complexity whatsoever, if you have relationships that exist between your data, the SharePoint implementation is going to fall apart. And that's where the Common Data Service really allows you to be able to model out your data effectively, just like you would a database, but without the need to know how to be able to program SQL or to be able to create tables in SQL or that access. We expose this to our citizen developers out there so that they can easily create their relationships in their data out there, utilize PowerApps to be able to surface that information and show that information, and use Flow to be able to automate when data changes within the system, providing that whole robust. In fact, Dynamics is built onto this system itself, so it's really just an extension. Dynamics is really just an extension of our PowerApps Flow and Common Data Service itself. Pretty cool. Moving on. Well, we wouldn't be complete unless we get a chance to be able to talk about customer insights. Dynamics 365 Customer Insights gives you that 360-degree view of the customer that you've been missing for a while now. Now, Customer Insights does not sit on top of Dynamics. It actually sits outside of Dynamics and allows you to be able to consume Dynamics information, as well as Twitter, as well as Facebook out there, as well as all those 230 different connectors out there, to be able to bring data in a central place so that you can be able to match all these data, these people together to give you that 360-degree view of that customer. For instance, let's say that you are running an event with a person and you have that context stored within Dynamics. Customer Insights can bring that contact information in, match it to their Twitter handle, and respond and understand when they are tweeting about an event that they are for one of your customer events, so that you going to that particular customer, you're able to see all the interactions that your organization has had regarding this particular customer. And that gives you insights that you simply haven't been able to see before, along with all the KPIs that are presented alongside that as well.
Yeah, Zandy, that's great. I think the demonstration that we'll embed in the card here, it shows the use of customer insights to prevent churn by aggregating that data to understand here is the trend of the interactions that Zandy or Nick have had with your organization, and looking at those signals of intelligence to do predictive learning in machine learning to understand here's what might happen next. So therefore, let's take proactive stance to reach out to that customer to prevent that churn. And again, you're leveraging Microsoft's massive AI assets and that machine learning. But as Zandy had mentioned, this doesn't need to sit within the Dynamics world. You can have Salesforce, you can have SAP, you can be leveraging Oracle, and then consume that model with Dynamics customer insights and to be able to run that analysis. One of our customers is Tivoli Gardens, and they're leveraging customer insights in order to be able to mitigate that churn. In a lot of ways, reducing churn is the new growth model.
Yep.
Right? There's only so many customers out there. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's a great quote. That reducing that churn is the new growth model these days, especially in the digital age that we live in. So couldn't agree more. So that we've taken a look at it from a platform perspective, all the different capabilities and advantages that you get if you go online from a platform perspective, no matter what workload that you're looking at. Now is an opportunity where we get to be able to drill down by workload. So not only do you get all those great advantages online from a platform perspective, but you get all these additional advantages if you go online from a workload perspective. And let's drill down into a couple of them. In the interest of time, we'll kind of go through sales and marketing. But do note that for customer service and field service, you get a lot of capabilities there as well, which we'll go through at a high level. Starting with the sales, and really focusing on what value are we going to bring to the seller. Not necessarily the sales management, not necessarily the owners, but if you've been busy entering all this data or getting all this data into the CRM, how can we give back to the sellers out there? Starting with relationship analytics and all the kind of health scores that you get with all the different contexts that you're communicating with out there. LinkedIn integration, with all the deepened LinkedIn integration that we have, predictive scoring, and so on. Let's go through these one by one so that we can be able to deep dive on these. All right, starting with relationship analytics. Relationship analytics gives you the understanding of how often and how frequently you are communicating with your customers. So it will give you a typical, stoplight type mode so that you can be able to see how good the relationship is. And that relationship is based on the amount of communication that you have going on. So it's looking at Microsoft Graph, which stores all the different communications from your email traffic with particular individuals within an account or within a contact or something like that, to the LinkedIn communications that you might have going on, to events and marketing events that they're participating in. So you're going to be able to see the whole gamut of different interactions that you have with these customers and what that means for the relationship health and that scoring. So in this particular slide, you can be able to see, for instance, that I have interactions. My average response time in communicating with this particular individual on this particular opportunity is 2 hours. And their response time, which is pretty good, is 1.1 days. Now, if that all of a sudden increased to 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or more, I might have an issue right there. And if I've got hundreds of different opportunities that I'm trying to track, it might be hard for me to remember all of the different communications that should or should not be going on. This is the real value that relationship analytics brings to sellers, in that they're able to get reminded about the scoring of these relationships, and maybe that I need to be able to spend a little bit more time with a customer if that relationship is trending downwards.
Yeah, it's amazing, Zandy, when you take all of the data that Microsoft is capturing within that Microsoft Graph, the telemetry of who you're speaking with, the open rates, the files, the amount of time that you're spending with a specific customer or organization, and you're drilling into the signals of intelligence with machine learning and AI capabilities to come up with a health score of your organization and that customer. That's where you can start to look at patterns and understanding next best action, and then understanding the red flags that you need to get ahead of proactively in order to keep sales deals on track and to help drive that behavior and that outcome. There's nobody in the world that has better signals of what's happening from a graph perspective around your productivity, your business, and to be able to harness all that and marry it with the relationships and add that with LinkedIn. That is a phenomenal paradigm shift and a differentiator that you only get advantage with Microsoft's cloud. And it's only Microsoft that can present or deliver that to our customers. And it gets us really excited, but it's really the value for our customers to help drive that business outcome.
And it's really turning, once again, to be able to kind of hit that home, it's really turning that from a system of record to a system of intelligence, so that your sellers are getting the value of all that information at their fingertips. LinkedIn integration. We've talked about this before, but we have some strong ties with LinkedIn integration, even on premises. But when you go online, you get additional signals as part of that. So any kind of LinkedIn notes or in-mail activity that occurs, any research opportunities that you can be able to leverage from without necessarily leaving Dynamics, so you can see all that information present at the forefront. And then if you are running any lead gen campaigns within LinkedIn, those get synchronized. Those leads get synchronized back to Dynamics as well through our lead LinkedIn integration online, where you don't get that capability on premises at all.
Yeah, it's amazing, Sandy. I think just yesterday I read that LinkedIn is now 630 million active profiles, and there's really no substitute for that professional ecosystem of who's changing jobs, what those titles are, the relationships of who Zandy might know that I might be able to help influence a business decision, right? And again, those signals from a hiring perspective, a sales perspective, marketing, just that relationship is really the new way of modern selling. And the ability to harness that, if you're in Microsoft's cloud, is second to none. And it's really the definition of modern selling.
And to easily surface that information so that sellers can be able to see this at their fingertips. Again, system of intelligence. I'm gonna obviously drill that hard as we go through this. Speaking about system of intelligences and really leveraging the machine learning capabilities that we can be able to bring to bear within Dynamics is utilizing predictive scoring. So within the sales online capabilities, if you are able to go and qualify a certain number of leads or qualify a certain number of opportunities, our machine learning will actually pick that up and learn from that so that it can give you a score as to when you enter new leads or new opportunities as to whether or not it makes sense for you to be able to focus that. The reasons why vary from organization to organization, but that's the wonderful thing about our machine learning is it kind of picks up on those reasons why and gives you the top reasons that you might need to focus on this opportunity or might not need to focus on this opportunity as you go through that. A huge time saver. It allows you to be your sales team to be able to really prioritize what it is that they need to be able to do, and really helps your sellers focus to be able to meet their sales goals as part of within your organization.
Yeah, thanks, Sandy. I think the predictive nature and leveraging AI within those experiences and how they're being infused into the tools that Microsoft is empowering our customers. Microsoft has more AI patents than anybody in the world, and we're surfacing them in all of the platforms. For example, here within Dynamics 365 for predictive scoring, but it's also available in Office 365 and taking advantage of it through intelligent cognitive services. But the ability to empower hundreds of thousands of customers with that AI, that's where we're infusing it, and to be able to take advantage of that prediction and that modeling, but then also to give that feedback to train those models. It's a huge game changer for our customers.
Yeah, I call it the democratization of artificial intelligence because, well, it might be a mouthful, but it really does describe that, because it really is bringing AI to the masses out there without having to know about how neural networks work or how to be able to program against the sentiment analysis API or things like that. These are built in. And so you get to take advantage of these, just simply by leveraging the platform itself. Speaking of leveraging the platform itself, the who knows whom capability really brings another layer of understanding about relationships. And I like to differentiate this with LinkedIn a little bit, because LinkedIn has the capability for you to understand who within your organization is connected to people that you might want to be able to reach out to, even if you aren't connected to those people within your organization. That's what LinkedIn brings to bear. Where who knows whom differs from that, who knows whom allows the seller to understand who's been actively communicating with an individual that you might want to be able to reach out to. So for instance, in this particular example, we have YM, who it is that we're trying to connect with. And you'll see that Trisha Potter has a strong connection with them. This is based on the email interaction, maybe Teams interaction, SharePoint interaction, anything that goes in terms of the Microsoft Office graph will be displayed right here, so that the seller can understand who they might need to reach out to get a warm introduction to a particular prospect. And as we all know, you're something like 5 times more likely to be able to establish a meeting with a new individual if it comes from a warm introduction versus a cold call.
Yeah, Sandy, I think it's critical to point out that it's the successful exchange of communication. And even though I send an email to 10 people, they may or may not open it. They may or may not reply. That scoring and of who knows whom is really a meter for understanding the return of that email and the back and forth dialogue, right? So that successful exchange of communication and giving it a green, yellow, or red is really helpful to the rest of your organization, because it's not about who you know, but it's about who is asking for closing that deal, right? So if I know that Zandy has a great relationship with Satya Nadella and I can see that, I'm going to have Zandy reach out and ask Satya for, a raise or what have you, right?
I'll work on that for you, Nick.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Fiscal. So, but I couldn't agree more. And it's just another great example of how we're bringing intelligence to bear for our sellers in an easy to use model so that they can see value from that immediately. Playbooks is one of is the feature that was introduced, I believe, back in October, that is available online only. But it allows the organization to be able to set up activities that might need to happen in any given situation. So an example of this might be, let's say that you're working with an organization and your primary contact leaves that organization. What do? Well, there are a lot of sellers out there that might natively and intuitively know what to do. But if there are new sellers out there, or people that maybe you have a special process that you go through internally within your organization when that occurs, is that you want to be able to follow a playbook. You want to be able to follow the steps that your organization deems to be necessary to handle that particular situation. So when you use a Playbooks, what it does is it automatically adds tasks and activities and meetings and so on to your timeline for things that you as the seller should do. But the wonderful thing about Playbooks here is it does not require an admin for Dynamics or a programmer for Dynamics to create. These Playbooks are created by sales managers. And so they are used to be able to provide guidance to the sellers so that they can be able to step through maybe a simple or even a complicated process within their organization to handle situations and scenarios as they arise.
Yeah, I think, so much change happens in sales organizations, and to be able to standardize what happens during certain phases of a customer's life cycle and make it consistent, right? It's not about the following up, it's about the following through.
Yes.
And that means the world to customers. And here's how you can standardize that through Playbooks.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it really, the advantages that it brings is it allows new sellers to really get up to speed more quickly. Or just if you take kind of these convoluted processes that you have within any organization on these unique scenarios that they don't really need to be built into the system, but they can be added to the system by utilizing Playbooks. Of course, to make life easier for our sellers, we utilize auto capture related emails. This is something that you can't do on premises either, simply because of the Office graph and its capabilities to be able to really bring all that information to the forefront. So what does this mean? So let's say, for instance, that I have a lot of correspondence with a particular account out there. I might miss an email or two that should really be tracked within the system. This is where our artificial intelligence and our machine learning capabilities comb through the Office graph to understand whether or not emails should show up in Dynamics, and then offers the seller the opportunity to track those within the timeline. So if a seller goes in through there and sees something that pops up and says, you know what, this is not really relevant for this, you don't need to track it. Only the seller can see that at first. But it is a reminder that, hey, maybe there are some emails in there that need to be tracked that can be shared with our team so that everybody can be able to see the history and context of working with that particular contact or organization within Dynamics.
Yes, Andy, I think as sellers are super busy and pulled in a ton of different directions, it's helpful to have that assistant looking over your shoulder and offering up suggestions of, hey, do you want to capture this? Would you like me to schedule this? Would you like to create a task for yourself, right? So that's part of that relationship assistant. But again, it's connecting that cloud capability of that Exchange graph and that Microsoft graph and marrying it with the Dynamics AI that is tailored for that user. And it's a huge time saver for us. And then for sellers to be able to say, hey, I've got someone looking after myself. And it helps to drive adoption. It helps to increase better data within the CRM system. But it's also taking advantage of resources in machine learning and the ability to scan that massive amount of data and say, hey, here's the signals through the noise of what you should be paying attention to. So that prioritization is very helpful when you're scrambled and you're very busy.
I couldn't agree more. The best sellers out there are often juggling so many different things at the same time that having a system like this that helps them remember the minutia of what they need to be able to do to track all these activities within Dynamics is critical, and such a burden off their shoulders to have to not remember every single time. Forecasting is one of the new capabilities that we've added in terms of Dynamics as well. And so this is not something that you're going to get on premises as of yet. It might go there eventually, but for right now, it's online only and allows organizations to really set up what kind of forecasts they're expecting and to be able to track those through their sales cycles.
Yeah, it's key to be able to understand, here's the trend of that forecast, here's some signals, but then also help sales leaders be able to understand, here's how to manage that forecast. Again, from that analytics, the AI, the trending, as well as the interaction, all of those contribute to the forecasting methodology. And we're helping organizations systematize that and save a tremendous amount of time.
I agree. I completely agree. Now, that's not all of the capabilities. There are some other online-only capabilities that are embedded within Dynamics Online, but you'll kind of get to discover those as you leverage the online capabilities. But these were the major ones that we wanted to be able to highlight from within the sales. From within marketing, the story has changed quite a bit between the differences of what you get online versus what you get on-prem. Mainly, the on-prem solution behind marketing was, I think you had a marketing list out there, and you could add individuals to that marketing list. You could do searches to create Dynamics marketing lists and so on. But really beyond that, that was about the extent of the capabilities behind it. With our new marketing capabilities that we released I think it was last April, about a year ago, we have added a lot more functionality to the online story behind marketing. And it really becomes a robust marketing platform instead of a simple marketing list that we've leveraged for so long within Dynamics. Starting with, I'll go through these one by one relatively quickly, but starting with customer journeys. Customer journey, another way to be able to understand a customer journey is it's really it's a campaign that you want to be able to run. Whether you call it a customer journey, whether you call it a campaign, it's the same thing. And it allows you to be able to map out what the journey you want your customers to take. Usually within a customer journey, you start with something called a segment, allowing you to be able to identify which individuals you want to be able to target for this particular campaign. And segments are head and shoulders above what you get within the search capabilities of marketing lists. Because not only does it allow you to be able to interrogate all your contacts and to be able to understand that you want to only focus on those that are in this particular region or have this particular title or have these accounts that have this particular amount of revenue with you already or something along those lines, but it also allows you to be able to union those with other data sources. Whereas within marketing lists, you could only do a search and your search is your search. Within the marketing capabilities and customer journey segmentation, you get ability to be able to say, I want all of these customers over here, and I want all of these customers over here, which don't necessarily map. Or you can say, I only want the interaction between those, meaning those customers that have the overlap between those two areas. I only want to target those folks that are in the middle of those. Or you can say, I only want to target the folks that are not in the middle of those on both sides of that. So it really gives you a lot more capabilities in terms of segmentation and to be able to really map out that customer journey for your campaigns out there.
Yeah, Zandy, it's important to take those customer segments. For example, customers that have a renewal coming up in the next 6 months, right? Let's proactively send them an email and to be able to nurture that experience so that if they open up the email, great. Let's go and add them to a webinar. If they don't open up the email and ignore the 6-month time frame prior to a contract, maybe create a task for Zandy or Nick to follow up and see how is that relationship, right? So through that customer journey and through that campaign, you're really starting to drive those business outcomes and automate that. And that's really the heart of that marketing automation engine. And it is very powerful from within Dynamics 365. But the ability to templatize and to automate and to create those experiences that help increase sales or retain customers, that's where it's drag and drop. It's easy for a business analyst that's empowered to do so to say, at this point of a customer's journey, send them an email or send them a text message or assign someone to follow up or invite them to a webinar. All of that is as easy as creating a drag and drop experience. So it's very powerful. But again, a differentiator if you're in Microsoft's cloud for Dynamics 365.
Right. You simply don't get this on premises at all. One unique thing that we bring to the table within our marketing solutions is the ability to be able to truly manage events. Given that so much of marketing is focused on you either have email marketing or maybe you're driving your customers or your potential customers to events that you want to be able to have them participate in. Event management is a key piece of what it is that we offer. So you can be able to not only go through and identify what the event is, where it's being held, and so on. You can also get understanding of who's registered as part of that event. Utilize a portal so all of those registries will automatically get added as contacts within the system. You can be able to keep track of venues that you want to be able to manage, speakers that you have, when the session tracks are, and even go so far as evaluation of your return on investment on these different events that you're running as well. So the analytics behind this are phenomenal, and it's a unique offering that we have in the marketplace to be able to marry our event management within the marketing solutions themselves.
Yeah, it's key for marketing organizations to understand what's that return on marketing investment. And during events, there's the linens and the AV and the signage and the physical facility. right? That is part of the event management portfolio to understand what is that ultimate cost and balance of the impact. But so much more today is event related, right? So whether it's an online webinar or if it's a conference, you want to be able to track and manage that all with a customer persona and understanding here are the events that Zandy or Nick have attended, and start to aggregate what events are most successful and what's the return on marketing budget for some of those events. Some of the cheaper events are the most successful, and some of the most expensive ones have zero return. So to use and optimize your marketing budget effectively through event management, that's where, again, it's another differentiator.
Couldn't agree more. And event management, they really have robust capabilities that are built right into the platform right there. Lead scoring. Let's talk a little bit about lead scoring, because we talked about predictive lead scoring before under the sales, but a marketer looks at a lead quite differently from a salesperson looking at a lead. Typically, what has occurred in the past, and I've been party to this as well, is that you run an event, you get a whole list of emails out there, and what often has happened is the marketers turn that whole list of emails, hundreds of emails, over to the sales team to be able to call down in terms of whether or not they're qualified leads. I know as a salesperson, I hated doing this. And the reason I hated doing this is because they weren't qualified or not. It was kind of a waste of my time to be able to go through 100 different contacts to find that maybe one is really the contact that I'm looking for. So from a marketing perspective, you want to make certain that your leads are sales-ready leads. And so within the Dynamics 365 for marketing online capabilities, we provide the ability for marketers to be able to score these leads before they actually get in front of any salesperson. So you can be able to generate a lead scoring model that says if they've attended an event, if they get so many points. If they've downloaded a white paper from my website, they get so many points. And eventually they're going to reach a threshold in terms of the number of points that they have where our organization feels like they're ready to get a call from a salesperson. At that point in time, it flips over. You can be able to say this lead is sales ready. It flips over to the contacts within the sales, which is actually the same system, which is a wonderful aspect of all the marketing and sales that we have. It's all built on the same system itself. And so those sales individuals are able to see all of the interaction that particular lead has had prior to calling them, so that they have context to be able to have a conversation with that particular lead.
Sandy, I think it's key too for driving adoption. When sellers trust that what is being asked of them is valid, scored, and genuine, that's when adoption goes through the roof. And as a seller, if I'm focusing my time on quality conversations that have been scored and have shown genuine interest, that's where I'm going to live inside and drive that adoption, because it's working on my behalf. If you are helping to fortify the relationships and that scoring, that's where it's really a lot different. Like going back to the core of our starting of our conversation, it's a lot different than CRM from 2002.
Yeah.
The predictive capabilities of building that scoring model and then helping me prioritize my time, that's a game changer.
Couldn't agree more. And this combined with the predictive lead scoring is just a win-win all around, allowing me to be able to prioritize my leads that I know that are sales ready already. Email and landing pages are part of the platform as well. So when you create, when you get your marketing instance, you're able to create email templates, reusable email templates. We have a starting point where templates that are like 30 or so different templates that you can be able to start with and tailor them to with your organization. These email templates are included as part of your customer journey map that you have, as well as if you're an international organization, these are all GDPR compliant out of the box, so you don't need to, with the ability to be able to add and remove, customers for being able to add and remove themselves from marketing lists so that you don't violate any GDPR standings out there.
Yeah, it's helpful, Zandy. I think from a creativity standpoint, you've got the templates, the ability to tailor the HTML and the CSS and the branding. It's very elegant and easy, right? Through what you see is what you get WYSIWYG editor, you can tailor the system, and a business analyst that's just getting started in their career can help to create some of these campaigns and landing pages. And it's, again, we've really tried to empower the organization to leverage all of this against that customer model. So again, another excellent advantage.
Yeah, and with all of these, whether that be the landing page, the email, the customer journey, all the things that we've been talking about so far, there are rich analytics in the background that show you, this person opened this particular email at this particular time, or they didn't open it, or this is how much time they spent on it, or here's what they clicked on. So it gives you those rich analytics in the background to understand whether or not your emails are really hitting the mark, or maybe something that you can be able to do to improve upon that as well. And you nailed it with, you not only get that what you see is what you get kind of drag and drop environment to be able to create those, but if you're savvy with HTML, you can go in there and really mock these up more. And we give you a preview environment too, so you can understand what this is going to look like on a mobile device, a tablet device, or a desktop device. Marketing Insights is something that allows us to be able to get additional insights from social media out there, and see sentiment analysis of all the different types of intake that we have from a social capability. Again, this is something that you don't get on premises. It's only available online, and allows you to be able to really understand in-depth trends and interactions that your customers are having on social media platforms out there, such as Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, the Marketing Insights, again, it's really taking that profile of intelligence and giving you predictive capabilities around, again, that sentiment. Here's what's happening from a customer profile, and aggregating a summary of here's the things that you should be paying attention to. So again, Microsoft's ability to harness that AI to help you understand here are the things that you should be focusing on. You really can only take advantage of it when you're in that Microsoft cloud environment, which is rich with that signal, that telemetry. Those insights are really surfaced through the experience.
Yeah, you really can't get this on premises at all without building a bunch of software that might need to connect by hand, or that you would need to be able to build yourself. And then finally, within the marketing, we've had surveys quite a bit, but now we've been able to include those as part of our marketing offer. This is the Voice of the Customer. Voice of our Customer is our custom survey tool that allows you to be able to send out surveys to your customers as part of your customer journey. The nice thing about the Voice of the Customer is, compared to using another survey tool, is you don't necessarily need to monkey around with any other platforms out there to be able to get the information back to within your organization. So if I send out a survey and I get a response, a poor response, I can actually have a flow, which we were talking about earlier, be able to pick up that I got a poor response on my survey and be able to interact with that immediately, whether that be online, whether that be on premise, via phone line or a phone or something along those lines. I'm able to react to that immediately and take action instead of waiting until all the surveys are in to be able to understand the aggregate.
Yeah, Zandy, I think it's important to point out that Voice of the Customer and that capability, it's not just survey, but it's the paradigm shift of creating a digital feedback loop between your organization and the customer. Right. So taking that feedback and helping it to fuel product development or marketing or feedback in a way that's never been done before. Right. The ability to take that relationship, and it's an evolution, right? The ability to collect a piece of feedback, ingest it within your processes, bring it into product development, awareness, marketing, the sentiment, the understanding of analytics around that experience, and understand what is trending, right? And the ability to take that and drive customer outcomes through those digital feedback loops is really the core of that Voice of the Customer experience. And it's critical today because customers expect it. When you stay at a hotel, when you rent a car, you're going to receive a survey. And like Zandy said, when you have a negative or a positive experience, that's going to fuel the next step in the relationship with that organization. And the organizations that can listen for and act and follow through, those are the ones that are going to differentiate themselves with customer service. And it's critical today because the ability for us as consumers to just switch and pick a different hotel provider or a car rental service is very easy. But the ones that provide that customer service are going to have your business for life. So again, Microsoft has built it into our platforms, and it's only available with Microsoft CRM's, Microsoft Dynamics 365 CRM in our cloud.
Couldn't agree more. In the restaurant industry, there, you go there because you've heard great things about the food, but it's the service that gets you back. And so this is just flows right into that and understanding how you can be able to improve your service. Couldn't agree more. So speaking of service and customer service, I wanted to go through the next customer service and the field service at somewhat higher of a level in the interest of time, knowing full well that there are a lot of content here that we can be able to go back and reference, or our viewers can be able to go back and reference and see in a lot more detail. But at a high level, customer service brings about 5 things that we really want to highlight on the online environment that is not available on-prem. Channel integration framework, leveraging, utilizing the different channels that you have to be able to, within your call center, to easily integrate third-party channels, allows you to be able to really manage that effectively. Omni-channel engagement hub, understanding all the different channels that you're leveraging out there and ensuring that you're able to communicate and collaborate with your customers as part of those channels is key. Live chat comes right out of the box with the online implementation, allowing live chat capabilities. The suggestion of similar cases, for instance, allows you to really go and help your customers when they're calling in a lot better, because it uses AI to understand these are similar cases that you might need to reference that would help you solve this particular customer's example. And then all the additional customer service insights that you get online that you don't have available to you on premises is just a time saver and a huge advantage in understanding the value that you can be able to bring your customers as part of this.
Yeah, Zandy, the need for customer service as a differentiator for your organization is key now more so than ever, right? And even as we prepared this presentation for this recording, we've actually launched virtual agents to be able to handle some of that action. And it's not only just responding, but it's also the ability to take action. Right. So that need for customer service and the self-service capability through various channels and various activities, Microsoft is taking that AI and that automation and that machine learning at scale and being able to help create activities for customers that help drive better customer service experiences. It's a phenomenal time to be in Microsoft's ecosystem for customer service, but it's also really just the empowering for our customers to be able to deliver those experiences to their customers as well. So it's just a phenomenal story that we hope to dive in further. But even between the time that we prepared this presentation and actually yesterday, there's been even further advancements, and just a phenomenal story.
It's hard to tell a story that's constantly changing, but this is what we're trying to do. I get it, but this is it just goes to the innovation and the quick ability for us to be able to respond and provide new content to our online customers. Whereas an on-premise implementation, you get an update every few years or something along those lines. Here you get them at least every 6 months, if not more. And speaking of, never being a better time, I would agree. I would extend that to our field service as well. With our ability to be able to integrate with mixed reality, connect to your IoT connections out there, and a lot of different other capabilities that we can be able to bring to bear in terms of the field service, it's never been a better time to be online with your field service implementation as well. So to start with, connected field services and IoT, we allow a lot tighter integration with all of those IoT devices out there, and bringing that information to bear within your Dynamics system allows you to be able to service your customers better when you're out in the field. Resource scheduling optimization. I know this is a pain for a lot of organizations out there to be able to schedule resources effectively. I'm working with an organization right now that has over 2,000 different field service technicians, and they employ about 150 people to manage the scheduling behind these. Whereas that could really be a task that could be limited to just a few individuals, leveraging the AI capabilities and utilizing all those other individuals and other value add tasks within the organization. We've also talked about portals before, and here you have a field service partner portal as well, allowing your partners out there to be able to interact directly with within the Dynamics environment. We have resource tracking utilizing Glympse integration. Glympse is one of the partners that we use out there that drives customer satisfaction about real-time information about their service timing, so that people can get that Uber-like experience, if you will, about where their field service tech is and understanding how soon they're going to get there. This was really important to me actually yesterday when I had a service call come out and they were early. I wish I had known that they were going to be early, because I could have planned my day a little bit better. But as it were, had they had this, I would have been able to see where they're at and be able to respond to that more effectively. Remote Assist in our guides for Dynamics 365. Our Remote Assist really leverages a lot of the HoloLens capabilities. Although you don't need HoloLens, you can use augmented reality with your phone now to be able to get that experience where you can be able to leverage an expert in the background and help you solve particular issues using our remote assist capabilities. And then finally, guides are dynamic guides with step-by-step instructions that allow your field service reps to be able to handle any kind of issues that are out in the field that much more effectively. So as you can see, there's a lot of great capabilities that are online only for the field service function.
Yeah, Zandy, I think it's important, right? So as customers expect that proactive service, how do you take the data that's coming off of everything, whether it's your car or maybe a piece of equipment in your home, like a furnace, right? The telemetry that's coming off of that for that service provider to provide that service, that data is great if you're ingesting it. However, you have to take that next step. Ingesting it is just that first step of the evolution of the Internet of Things. How are you going to schedule the right resource to be there at the right time with the right skills and the right assets? How are you going to communicate that with the partners that help to manage those assets or those warehouses? Right? The ability to phone a friend, so to speak, with the mixed reality capabilities of saying, hey, I'm looking at this lawnmower or this sprinkler system or this furnace at a hospital, but my colleague Zandy has troubleshooted this multiple more times. Let me use mixed reality. Again, that capability for field service, leveraging all of Microsoft's rich assets, is a huge game changer that many customers are just starting to explore. And Microsoft has made massive investments and can help differentiate the experiences for your customers. But again, it's the Microsoft cloud that's empowering all of that.
Yeah, our mixed reality, our augmented reality story is just getting better and better and better. In fact, in the time that we released this presentation to right now, there's actually been more capabilities added to the stack that allows customers to utilize their tablet or their phone devices to understand in the real world, if I were to be able to purchase a large piece of equipment, where would it fit? And you can actually use your phone to be able to understand within this large piece of equipment would fit within this space, or here's how it would operate in here. So the capabilities are just getting better and better and better these days. Kind of wrap that up. That was kind of on the customer engagement side, where we went through the sales, the marketing, the customer service, and the field service workloads. But we also have a lot of advantages if you're talking about finance operations, if you're leveraging that as to be able to really run your business on Dynamics from the back end perspective. So the way that we look at this is, along the lines of intelligence and data integration and lifecycle services and the functional business processes that you have. With any finance and operations implementation, you're really talking about, running the core of your business and making it seamless with your sales and your customer service and your field service. Since these are all part of the same platform right here, you're really getting that holistic view on all of these. And when you're going online, you get a lot more advantages than you have on premise. In fact, a lot of the folks that I talk to these days say that it's really not a choice these days. If you're on premises with your finance and operations, you really need to move online, because it allows you to be able to better tailor and more easily tailor the implementation to your organization, which is so key when you're talking about these enterprise systems that run your back end organization. So starting with intelligence, electronic reporting and demand planning and the embedded Power BI and the analytical content packs that you get on an online implementation are far superior than those that you get on premises. With data integration, once again, we go back to CDS and our common data service, our PowerApps, our flow. This was especially called out right here because as part of any implementation, there is so much tailoring of the implementation to an organization that you really need the flexibility that your common data service and PowerApps bring to the table to allow you to be able to do that. Not to mention the GDPR compliance automatically built into the system as well. Lifecycle services are key as well, as you kind of go through all the management of your assets and any kind of environments that you need to be able to surface, or any kind of configurable business processes that you need to be able to create. These are all available online where you don't have these capabilities available on-prem. And then if you do have those point solutions that you want to be able to leverage, the integration with payroll, with things like ADP, your procurement and your procurement and sourcing, all the support that you need, and even the help systems themselves are much more robust online than what it is that you get on premises these days.
Yeah, Zandy, I think the finance and operations story is really accentuated with our extensibility capabilities at Microsoft, right? Everything Microsoft has built from Windows to Azure to Dynamics to finance and operations is really an extensible platform. And that tailoring of those experiences, like you said, through the common data service and leveraging PowerApps only makes the finance and operations ecosystem that much more tailored to your business. And again, it's a differentiator for Microsoft's customers that are taking advantage of it in the cloud.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it just accentuates all the advantages, in total, because this is all that we really have time to be able to go through today. But I hope that everybody can see just the sheer amount of additional functionality and additional capabilities that you get if you do go online versus on premises. It's more than just a total cost of ownership or ease of maintenance story and so on. It's really making certain that you're turning these systems from a system of record to a system of intelligence so that your users can be able to really gain value from that.
Zandy, that's excellent. Thanks for detailing the advantages of Microsoft's Dynamics 365 in the cloud. If customers want to find out more or get access to this presentation, where should they go?
Sure, they should go to aka.ms/D365 Cloud Advantages to be able to get access to this presentation right here. You can download it, you can be able to use it to your heart's content. Within the presentation are links to more detailed information on docs.microsoft.com, as well as video presentations on each one of these capabilities as well. I really hope that you found value in this today, because there's a lot of fun stuff that we're really bringing to the table online.
Yeah, it's amazing. So thank you, Zandy. The differentiators are huge. If this was helpful, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. It helps Zandy and I. And if you have any comments, leave them in the description or the comments area below. And again, Zandy, thank you for your time, and we appreciate your time today. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. Take care now.